What's up, you guys? Justin Reeves here. Tonight we're talking about things to make your vlogs better, both things you can buy and things that are just simple tips, tricks, or common sense. Now, ultimately, the most important thing with vlogging is your personality, who you are, and your take on it. This stuff can help though, but you don't need any things I'm going to be talking about tonight to get you started vlogging. One of my biggest frustrations is people who let gear get in the way of them creating something. So don't let it be about that, but if you're already kind of underway in vlogging, or sometimes a little purchase helps push you out there a little bit more and find a little bit of creativity, we're going to talk about that. So let's get into it. Bendy tripod. You see a lot of people using these and you might be wondering, like, do I have to have this? You don't have to have this, but there's kind of two main reasons why. One is when you've got a camera like this and you're vlogging, let's hit record here. You'll notice here how easy it is if I'm moving around and I just slightly move my hand. Do you see how shaky that ends up being? And this is with the lens that has like image stabilization, but it's really easy when you're whipping things around to really make your audience a little bit sick when you're hand holding this. But watch the difference of what happens when I put this, onto this bendy tripod here. One quick second. So now what's happening is I can actually use this whole tripod to stabilize myself. And I can shake it, but this is like the same amount of shake that I was giving it before. And you're gonna see it's a lot more stable. But especially if I put two hands on this and then now I can put it on my hip, look at how smooth and stable I can be with this, which makes it much, much handier for vlogging. Obviously the other way that this ends up being handy is, if you need to set up your camera somewhere and record yourself, you can do that. And you can use this ball to like quickly adjust, frame it up, and boom, you've got a shot here where it's not so shaky and rocky and different things, where that would be much more difficult to do if your camera's off and you just had to set it on the ground. So bendy tripod, I really recommend them. It's a favor to your audience in many, many ways. That's something. Let's talk about the phone. Depending on your camera, in the case of this one, it's got a little selfie screen to be able to see yourself, but chances are if your camera doesn't have that, like you've got the Sony a6500 here, or maybe you've got like a Canon T6, T5, there's mobile apps you can get where you're actually able then to see the picture on the screen and start the recording there. And I know there's been times where it's like, I wish I could see the screen to be able to frame it up and make sure my lines overhead are straight or something like that. You can oftentimes download an app, start the recording from here, make sure the framing looks good, and check it this way before being able to do that. The other thing that I'll run into sometimes with this particular camera is the screen isn't all that bright outside, much brighter on the phone. The other way that can end up being handy with your phone is my phone oftentimes will end up being like a little bit of a tripod for me, where maybe I need to get this up a little bit higher. You can oftentimes use this, and again, I could take it off this thing, but the phone, especially when you got like a rubbery, bulky case, ends up being something sometimes where you're able to like stabilize it or give it a little bit of angle or be able to do something with it to be able to help. And so I recommend a big kind of like rubbery case sometimes when you're out vlogging. Something else, particularly on this camera, I'll show you another example here, is getting an ultra wide angle lens. I've talked about this before, but I'll hit record here. This is the angle that typically a kit lens will shoot at around here. This is 18 on a Sony. We might be able to get down to 15 or so there. And while it's good, my face is still filling up a lot of the frame. You're not seeing as much of the stuff that is going on behind me. But something we can do with an ultra wide is we're able to kind of punch out to that. And like, do you guys see the difference between like that and being able to go out to that? It just makes for a little bit more of an interesting vlog where you can fit in a lot more of your surroundings. Now, this is definitely on the higher end of the purchases for sure, but it is something that can be handy. On Canon, it's only about like $250, $300. It just is gonna change up your vlogging game and your vlogging angle a little bit. That's something I maybe recommend. A little zoom recorder. These are handy in a lot of situations where, one, maybe you have a camera like this where you can't plug an extra microphone into it, so you're stuck with the onboard audio that's on here. Being able to do this can give you better quality audio, and you can just kind of sync up the audio later in post. That's one thing. But where I like this little recorder for is it's a stereo microphone, so it picks up like really nice, like wide audio for the people who happen to not just be listening on their phone speaker if they're listening in headphones, but you can also like place it somewhere and pick up a lot of like ambient noise. So like if you're in a coffee shop, you're able to do that, or I use this in a recent vlog for some steps on the ground as I walked by, and it was just kind of picking up the street noise. And it ended up helping make it just a little bit more alive and a little bit cooler. it's $100 and a nice way to be able to do that. Speaking of other little accessories I like, power. Vlogging can be hard on batteries, especially if you're recording for a number of hours, and something like these Sony cameras, the battery life on them is not very good at all. And so you're gonna need extra power, but here's the thing. There are some people who will say you need to buy proper Sony batteries or Canon batteries or whatever the company is. I have used the knockoff batteries and never had a problem. I did it with Panasonic. I bought cheap knockoff batteries, and I've done it with this Sony. I got these RAV Power batteries. They came with this double charger, 2 batteries, and it was like $50 Canadian, probably like $40 or less American. That would have cost me way more if I bought the proper batteries. And yeah, if you're a full-time professional and that's what you're doing, sure. But for vlogging, we don't typically have tons and tons of money for that. So buying knockoff batteries is a fine way to get more power. The other thing you can use are these little power battery banks as a way to kind of charge your camera when you're going in between places. And chances are you have one of these lying around or somebody's giving you one, or you can pick these up for even cheaper than batteries. And they let you actually take the USB. This is like a big giant double battery Oki one. It's got 2 outputs here. I can charge 2 cameras at once. But you take the micro USB, you plug it in your camera, and provided your camera supports that, you can charge this on the go. Or if your charger for this, I know for Sony's, they're a USB charger, you can plug the charger into this, and I could actually charge 2 batteries at once with a little mobile power bank. It's got a flashlight too, so, you know, that's pretty cool. But yeah, these little mobile power banks are a great way to be able to charge on the go if maybe you don't even have the money for batteries, or just as another way to be able to back it up. Maybe you have 1 extra battery, but you know it's gonna be a long day of vlogging. Power. Let's talk about audio, obviously. Microphones, especially if you live somewhere windy, these can make a big difference. Now this is a Rode VideoMic Go. It's like $100 or less than $100, I think, depending where you live in the world. And this is just gonna make the audio sound a lot better. These cameras typically come with these 2 little, you know, microphones that sit on top of the camera, and they really pick up a lot of the audio around you. But when you're trying to be directional like this, if somebody's being noisy behind you there, it's gonna pick up that audio. Whereas these microphones become a lot more directional, and they're focused in front of them to pick up whoever's talking. And the further back you go, they do a better job of kind of, you know, narrowing that audio in so you can listen to that. So that's really good. And again, this is called the Dead Cat, or sometimes it's called a Windjammer. Let's see if we can pull it off here. And these are typically an add-on. They'll come with these like cheap little foamy windsocks. They don't do a lot if it's breezy outside, but these can do a lot. The other nice thing about this too is that you can actually take this, if you've got something like a Zoom recorder, and you can actually stretch it over here so that it's gonna block the audio on, you know, different devices. I'm having trouble here. Anyway, oh no, we're gonna do this. We are gonna do this. I'm gonna show you guys that we can do this. There we go. So you could put it in there, and then that's gonna cut out the wind. So it can kind of be flexible on a few different things. I've got like this extra little like boomy microphone up here. I could stick those on there. And anyway, really handy to be able to cut down on all that wind noise so you don't hear that whoosh, whoosh, kind of annoying. Let's talk about a cheap thing. If you can't maybe afford this microphone and you're still somewhere windy, as kind of a temporary stopgap that will help, maybe hard to see here, but I've got actually electrical tape on top of mine. And what that does is it cuts down like a little bit on the higher frequencies, so you may have to boost those a little bit afterwards. It's not really that bad, but it actually kind of like, I've taped over top the microphone. You'll see those like 2 little empty slots on top. And it's gonna cut down on the wind noise, provided this is smoothed out, because the wind just flows a little bit more smoothly over top of it. This is a really cheap hack. If you have a camera like this that can't take a microphone, like this one, the other thing you can get online are these like fancier, they're kind of like these Dead Cats, but they're made for on top of cameras like this, and they help break up the wind noise. There's probably a picture floating around somewhere about that. Other tips and tricks, you've maybe heard this other places, but don't have all of your shots be the same kind of shots, meaning you can have your camera and you can be talking all day long like this, and that ends up getting a little bit monotonous. So have some shots where you are moving around, have some where you put it on here, you set it down, and you're the one who's moving. The other thing that I found is, for me, I always thought I had to do all these quick cuts because it seemed like everybody that was vlogging was just like cut, 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 cut. If you ever seen like the Phil DeFranco show, he's just like cut, 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 cut. And that works for him and that's fine. But something that's taken me a while to find is that it's okay to let your vlog have a little bit of lulls. I was so afraid that if my vlog had like space where if I walked in the room and I left an extra 3 seconds for me to walk into the room, nobody would want to watch or they would leave. But I don't think that's the case, that there needs to be a rhythm. There can be times of like fast moving, high energy. Then there can be other times where you just let something sit a little bit. I started off a vlog recently where I thought, you know what, I was bringing the vlog back for a week. And so I just turned on my camera and I recorded the whole thing of me walking into this room, turning on a light, turning on another light, turning on another light, turning on another light. And it probably took 10 or 15 seconds, but in that moment, I think it was okay because it was part of the story. And so just because you see everybody doing all these like quick little jump cuts, it doesn't mean that you have to do it. You can have some of those, but also sometimes let it breathe a little. The energy's kind of got to ebb and flow a bit. The other thing obviously is when you are talking to the camera, I have a whole other video here on speaking tips, but you need to dial up that energy. You need to, be active and be talking in, I guess different cadences, whole styles. You should watch that video. It's really, really good. But I see a lot of people, hey guys, it's Friday morning. We're just here vlogging. I'm not really sure what we're gonna do, but it's gonna be fun. Like, that's not fun to watch. Like, I'm sorry. And you might go, well, hey, that's not me. Well, you can still be you, but dial up the energy a little bit and, talk with a little bit more energy, add a little bit more into it, keep things moving along so people wanna be engaged and watching. And if you're not having fun vlogging, we're probably not gonna have fun watching you vlog. And so make sure whatever you're doing, you're having fun and you can be authentic, which is maybe the last point I'll leave it at. I remember after doing vlogs for a long time, I started to shift from things that what I thought was interesting to going to, I wonder what people would like for me to vlog about. And while it's good to consider your audience, I started vlogging because I thought it would make a good vlog that people might want to watch, as opposed to what am I doing today? What do I want to do? What do I care about? What am I passionate about? I'm going to vlog about that. And I think people can quickly see through when you're not being authentic to who you are and talking about things that you really care about. And so stay true to you being you, showing your personality and letting that shine through. Again, gear is just a part of the equation, and there's lots of other things you could get or don't need to get. Don't let this stuff stop you, but let it help you. But just, buy one thing, learn how to master that, and when you feel like you've really got that down, you can maybe grab another piece. Or sometimes for me, honestly, a piece of gear helps me get out of a rut and try something new. So use it as that. I'm Justin Rivas. If you have any questions or comments, or you have some things you want to put down there that are great hacks or pieces of gear that you use that help you vlog, I would love to hear about it. I know we got some big vloggers following along this channel. We would love your tips and tricks and thoughts. I'm Justin Rivas. Thanks for watching.